Over the course of this season, we've met some pretty awesome animals and some really amazing people too. Animal welfare organizations such as the SPCA Fiji, Horse Sanctuary Fiji, PASH, the Greater Good Foundation, the Fiji Shark Dive, and Animals Fiji consistently go above and beyond their resources to ensure a brighter future for all the animals in Fiji. It is important to note that these organizations do not get large-scale funding and rely mostly on support from people like you and I. But despite the challenges, they continue to push for the animals. Tonight, we revisit a few of our past episodes and get an update on how our highlighted situations have progressed. First up, Penny, the one-eyed horse with cancer from the Horse Sanctuary Fiji. Let's find out how she's doing. You'd assume basic horse care knowledge would be a given, considering horses are living creatures just like us and they require their basic needs to be met just like us. But sadly, this is not the case in our country. Sadly, this was the case for Penny. As you can see, Penny is missing an eye. So Marika Hunter and her team here at the Horse Sanctuary Fiji have come together. They started this 3 years ago and they've tried their best to help and save as many neglected horses in the country as they possibly can.
So Penny, we got about 3 years ago, and we had to have one eye removed. The other eye is not doing well either. The main thing with white horses in Fiji, they get really sunburned. So it's really important you put them in the shade. But we're not sure exactly how her eye got so injured that it had to be removed. But we were lucky we had some overseas vets here who were able to, working with the ministry. So we had them come and help us remove her eye. So she's one eye. You can see here that eye. There you go. So she's got one eye, and this other one is not doing too well. So we treat it. Every day we clean it out and wash it, and her ear. It's just susceptible to sun and problems. But we're just trying to keep her as comfortable as possible and, give her a really normal life. But, she's very, very hard to keep because she needs so much care every single day. But she's a trooper, big fighter. She's a good fighter, this one.
About a week ago, the Animals Fiji team visited the sanctuary to check on Penny and see if her cancerous ear needed to be removed.
So Penny was diagnosed with squamous cell carcinoma. I think that was a couple of years ago, and post-diagnosis, one of her eyes was severely affected, so she had an eye enucleation done. And recently, this year itself, it was brought up to our attention that she had a mess on her ear as well, which was having a lot of discharge and causing a great deal of discomfort for her. So with the mess being there on her left ear pinna, which is the flap, not the actual ear canal itself. So what was happening was there was a great deal of discharge from the side. It was painful to an extent, and along with that it was having a lot of foul smell that was attracting flies, and she was just very uncomfortable with all the insects being around her, and the mess was evidently growing. So it was progressive and it needed immediate intervention. A portion of the ear pinna was removed. The ear pinna is responsible for sort of directing sound waves into the ear itself, and it's sort of a mechanism for protection against the elements. But we only removed a portion of the ear pinna, so a good deal was there to still have some functionality. So the surgery has definitely brought Penny a lot more time and comfort. I wouldn't say a lot more. I wouldn't. These kind of cancer, especially when it comes to squamous cell carcinoma, they can grow very aggressively, and the period differs greatly. So what we have done is, just by removing that mass itself from the ear, has reduced the smell, discharge, and just given her a better quality of life. Though that life may be a few months or a few years, it depends, but as long as she's having a better quality. Usually cancer is it's a bit of it's a term where we would only be describing to tumors that are metastatic. So cancers or tumors present themselves in various ways. There can be lumps on an animal, there could be ulcerated masses, basically growths of any sort. And the gold standard would be to do biopsies for histology and cytology to identify what type of cells are present before diagnosing them with what cancer it would be associated with. Cytology would be the study of cells, so you'd be looking at cell type, and histology would be more on the lines of study of the tissue itself and physiological changes to the tissue due to cell growth. You can always directly try to communicate with your nearest veterinarian or your nearest organization which provides veterinary services, so that your horse or animal can be attended to. It is very important to seek professional help before any sort of intervention, because there might be a lot of things which could be intervened at an earlier stage if it was complicated.
Now, the Horse Sanctuary Fiji operates out of sponsors, donors, and people with a heart to help. The Siren Pair Sanctuary Outreach Program has generously provided knits and bridles to over 160 horses in various villages, farms, and settlements. These are all pre-loved gear sent from New Zealand by their partner Kim Woods. The Horse Sanctuary also provide credit and adoption programs for their rehabilitated horses. So if you've always wanted to adopt a horse, groom or feed them, or take them for a walk down to the river, get in touch with the sanctuary. They currently have 18 horses, all of which have been purchased under the need for rehabilitation if they have been neglected or abused. By adopting a horse, not only will you be assisting them financially, but your support would alleviate their physical workload too. So before we move on, here are some basic horse care tips.
We had a lot of interest. People like Ava, her family were like, oh, how can we adopt a horse and have this be like our horse? Because they don't have a field, they don't have the equipment, they don't have the skills to keep or a place to keep the horse. So what we do now is that we have certain horses, about 6 or 7 that are adopted. Their families come and visit them pretty much every weekend or during the week. They give them extra TLC. They develop a bond with them. Some can be ridden, so they ride them. Some can't be ridden because they're so injured, like previously have been injured. So they walk them down to the river, or they'll just groom them. And the horses love it. So that's just something that's really evolved naturally and works really, really well.
Is this something that our viewers watching can also be a part of?
Yeah, they can get in touch with the Sanctuary, the Horse Sanctuary Facebook page. They can message us if they're interested in something like that. And we can, try and match them up with a horse if they're interested. Or at certain days we can have people come and visit. We kind of limit it sometimes because of just liability. Horses are big animals. We don't want too many kids running around them. Our horses are really well trained, but still you might have someone scare them. But yeah, they can contact us through our Facebook page or Instagram, and then we can go from there.
Here are some tips for basic horse care. Check on your horse at least twice a day. Make sure grazing is free of danger and poisonous plants. Have regular health checks at the vet. Make sure they have suitable living conditions and are kept safe and clean. Always have fresh water available. Welcome back to the season finale of the Pet Project Season 2. Tonight we're revisiting some of our previous episodes and getting an update on the progress of our works that we highlighted. Now in episode 7, we paid a visit to Animals Fiji in Nadi to speak to them about a very crucial desexing pilot project that they were conducting with Koroipita Housing.
A vet who's been previously here in Fiji and all over the South Pacific is kind of helping us behind the scenes a lot, who's based in Australia. But really, and this is something that ICAM bases. So if you read like population management from ICAM, which is like an international coalition, the first thing that they recommend is data collection. And we really haven't been doing that. We don't have resources. I thought we didn't, but we actually do. When we break it down, we have some help from outside. So we've been working with BAS and PAWS to collect that data. We have 2 types of data that we need to collect, and we've chosen Koroipita as our pilot project, not just for data collection, but actually implementing it and then monitoring it. So we're in the midst of that.
We joined them again on the final day of their desexing project at Koroipita.
So today at Koroipita we're having our 5th day of surgeries. It's an outreach where we do mass desexing of all dogs, females and males. So basically for females, as you can see what Ashmita is doing, she's our vet in training, obviously supervised by me. She's doing an ovarial hysterectomy, which means basically we remove the ovaries and the uterus, so there's no chances of the animals ever getting pregnant or having complications like pyometra or hormone-related disorders that sometimes come about by leaving one or the other structure behind. I think today we have done 7, and in total we are close to 80 or 90 animals.
It's different from the last time we did it, because the last time we trapped dogs, but now we told them just to bring it themselves. Some of them were like hiding because of our rules in Koroipita. We are not allowed to keep dogs. Yeah. Casey from Animals Fiji, they have given flyers to all of the families and even some outsiders who are staying outside of Koroipita, so that they all know that they're supposed to bring their dogs on their own, so we don't have to go and trap the dogs. Yeah. Today is the 5th day and it's been going well. Everybody's bringing their dogs and even some cats too.
A lot of people don't realise that dogs can't hunt mice and rats, so they can't survive if they're just dumped at beach locations or anywhere around town. They starve, and it's very painful and slow and horrible death. So to spay your animals and take responsible ownership of your animals is very, very important. And through this pilot program, we're teaching our residents in Koroipita to be responsible owners. We discourage actually animals in our town, but for those that have just wandered in and found a home here, we're helping them to not to increase the population.
So after the end of this intervention, we are going to have a follow-up data collection. So hopefully that will show that the data we collected before the intervention or before the desexing and the treatments and everything, it will show an improvement, not only for the animals that are in this area, but for the humans in the area. So we should have a reduction in obviously mating, fighting, human-animal conflict. And that will be in the next 3 to 6 months after this pilot project. And then hopefully we'll be back. We'll still be working with Koroipita this whole time to make sure that we maintain, if anyone gets a new dog, they go through the registration process, which includes making sure that their animal is desexed or spayed or neutered or sterilized, whatever term you want to use. Sterilizing, spay, neuter, desexing. It's so important that you do that to your pet, because otherwise we're going to have unwanted puppies. And unless you can house 12 to 15 puppies, you should get your dog or cat desexed.
And great news for the residents of Lautoka. The project seems to have grabbed the attention of the Lautoka Town Council, who are now working with Animals Fiji and the Greater Good Foundation to implement a large-scale version of the project for its city.
So we are in the next phase of our Koroipita pilot project for dog population control. We are now doing our 2nd round of data collection. So this is to prove that our intervention, remember we did data collection, intervention, and now we're doing our 2nd round of data collection. So we're working through that now, and we should be finishing that up in the next few weeks to then have an end result to show the whole picture of what's happened and what's gone on. So we've recently been in conversations with Lautoka City Council about Lautoka, working with Ministry of Agriculture and Greater Good Foundation, and we recently met with the Ratepayers Association. So that's in the works, and hopefully more to come publicly from them and all of us as a group on how that's progressing. How can the public help? So obviously in your area, the most immediate thing that you can do is encourage your friends, your family, your neighbors to get your animal desexed. Doesn't matter where it is in the country. We've just had our team in Labasa, in Savu-Savu, making sure you contact any of the local vets in your area, SPCA, Vet Essentials, PASH, doesn't matter. Get in touch with your local vet and book in your friends, your family, and your neighborhood's animals for desexing. That's the most immediate thing that everyone can do. And then obviously reaching out to help out with fostering. We obviously have animals in shelter. We have more animals than we have space for. So please reach out to any of the shelters to offer fostering. We have a foster care program which we can provide everything, including food and medication, all of your needs. All you need to do is provide the roof and the love to the animal. So that's another thing that people can do. And lastly, they can reach out to volunteers in other ways. They can come down to the shelter at Animals Fiji and Nandi and volunteer, or help us in other means by promoting what we do, by sharing and liking our posts. That's another thing that people can do.
We hope that more and more town councils and the ministry can get on board and implement this important program, which will in turn benefit both animals and humans alike. Now, coming up after this, a quick look back at our incredible journey. This indeed has been our most unique season yet. We were able to not only focus on dog and cat welfare, but also horses, goats, snakes, birds, iguanas, and even sharks. So let's rewind real quick and take a look at our season 2 journey. Episodes 1 and 2 had us following the Horse Sanctuary team on one of their horse rescue missions out in Sigatoka. The horse, named Lady at the time, was found to have a 2-year-old severe rope burn on her hind leg, causing her excruciating pain and suffering. The injury was so bad that it had been infested by maggots and needed immediate veterinary assistance. The Horse Sanctuary team treated her as best as they could while they awaited professional assistance from Animals Fiji. Her surgery was a success, and Lady was given a new lease on life along with a new name, Amber. Marika Hunter updated us this morning, and Amber is said to be frolicking around the paddock, happier than she's ever been in the last 2 years. We also met the Ordinaire Fiji team, who shared their brand new locally made cat and dog shampoo, which is now available at Kundan Singh's supermarket. The shampoo is made locally with natural ingredients and has already helped multiple skin conditions in dogs and cats. We shared an afternoon cuppa with Taitusi John and his girl Lassie, who, well, decided to adopt Taitusi one day and went from being a stray to a star. Episode 3 saw us at SPCA Fiji, where we learned basic dog handling tips, the 5 freedoms of animal welfare, dog licensing, mange, and some true or false facts. We were also starstruck by our local pet TikTok stars. In episodes 4 and 5, we got on board with the Banga Adventure Divers team and joined them on their routine shark dive out at Naloa. The team helped us understand the importance of sharks in our ocean's ecosystem and the very common misconceptions people have about sharks because of the sensationalized media and movies. Understanding shark behavior is extremely important if we want to improve our ocean health. The Fiji Shark Dive team worked tirelessly towards shark conservation, and the income generated from taking tourists on these dives not only contribute towards their conservation efforts, but help people off Naloa too. You can also help by adopting a shark via their website myfijishark.com. In episode 6, we visited the Pacific Animals Shelter and Hospital, or PASH for short, out in Nandi. It was indeed a feline frenzy with our cat-themed episode, where we learned about their adoption process as well as some of their major needs as an animal welfare organization without funding. You can assist them by donating any one of the following items from this list, and lend a hand towards the continuation of the amazing work the PASH team are doing in operating a state-of-the-art animal hospital in Fiji. Of course, we spent episodes 7 and 8 with Animals Fiji, 7 being the Koroipita pilot project, which we spoke about earlier, and 8 being a visit to a sheep and goat farm where Dr. Ash conducted a checkup on Farmer Sanjay's goats believed to have foot rot. According to Animals Fiji, after the airing of this episode, a number of farmers reached out to the team for more advice and veterinary assistance with their own sheep and goats. Feedback as such warms our heart because it tells us that people are out there who do in fact care for their animals and maybe don't realize that there is help available. Well, that's exactly why we and these animal welfare organizations exist, to make life better for the animals and for you. If you have any concerns regarding the welfare of your sheep, goats, cows, pigs, horses, dogs or cats, and whichever other animal you think needs help, please do get in touch with organizations such as Animals Fiji. They are there to help you. Now, in episodes 9 and 10, we visited the famous Kula Wild Adventure Park in Singatoka, where we got to interact with a Pacific boa snake and a Fijian crested iguana. Our tour guide Sophia showed us around the park and gave us information on animals such as the Taveuni and Kandavu parrot, fruit bats, iguanas, owls, and other birds and snakes. The park offers local rate discounts and is the perfect place for a family adventure, complete with a fun water park. In episode 11, we met up with the pioneer of animal welfare education on TV, Kim Beddoes, an avid animal lover and the organizer of the Sambeto horse races. We got to hear about her journey as well as meet her own fur kids and learn more about why she started the Sambeto horse race. For our pet simies, we met Doghouse Fiji, a small company specializing in making custom dog houses and helping provide a safe shelter for our pets. You can find out more about their work by contacting them on Facebook. Episode 12 last week focused heavily on a topic that needs to be talked about more: animal cruelty and the Fijian laws that exist to prosecute abusers. There is no doubt that the laws need an upgrade, and anyone found to be abusing any animal should face harsh penalties. You can hear more of that conversation by watching the episode on our Pet Project YouTube page, along with the rest of this season and season 1. And so that brings us to the end of another wonderful season. We would like to thank our sponsor Digicel for making it possible for us to continue to have conversations about animal welfare in Fiji and shedding light on the work that these incredible organizations do. As mentioned by Kim Beddoes in episode 10, if you are a corporate or anyone really with the ability to do so, please help support these animal shelters and sanctuaries, as well as our Pet Project show. We need the support of the community in order to grow and make our beautiful Fiji an even more beautiful country by showing love and kindness to our animal friends. And with that, I shall leave you with: make a difference, be kind to animals. Till next season.